Who has Joe's paper?
I do.
What do you get?
6.
You're not serious.
Wait, this says Joe.
You're serious about it saying Joe, aren't you?
6.
And he did only get 6 right? That's something to smile about? This is called indecent exposure. You are indecently exposing yourself. Go get your paper. Don't you dare! How many people in your country, how many of the dropouts are brown-skinned people?
A very high percent. That's an issue right now.
A very high percent of them are dropouts. There's no such thing as a dropout. Those are forced outs. If you make the situation uncomfortable enough, people will refuse to tolerate it and they will leave. And then we say, see, they don't value education. Whose is that?
Jeff.
There are no answers on that paper?
So give him a 0 out of 20.
Where's Jeff?
Right here.
Why are there no answers on that paper?
Because I don't know any of the answers.
Did you even read all those items?
I did.
And you didn't know any of those answers?
No, sorry to say I didn't.
You just gave up. Isidore, tell him, in your language, what he should have done instead of just giving up.
Metane, emi o sikuma. Ekwa kia. Umaka tutaman. Mokuisk. What you should have done is tried harder to understand what we're doing here. Like if you don't care about the people, then you'll never learn.
So the bottom line is, we just don't care about those who are in the minority groups. If we cared, we'd know and respect some of your customs.
Mm-hmm.
If we cared, you would not be on reserve.
And that's one of the things that always bothers me. And I guess as long as we have that kind of a system, nothing will ever change.
That's the reality you live in.
That's the reality I live in.
Thank you for sharing that. I watched my father change his mental set at 56. I took my 3rd graders through this exercise. I told him about it, and he said, 56 years old. And I've heard all my life, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. He said, I wish somebody had taught me that when I was 9 years old. I wish somebody had taught my dad that when he was 9 years old. That would have meant that for all those years that he was my father until he was 56, he would not have made those racist statements.
But he learned.
But he learned. He learned because he watched little white kids go through this exercise. Don't you tell me you can't learn anything in here today. Unless you are telling me that you've decided not to learn. Now, if you haven't learned anything after what that man said, if you haven't learned anything from what this man said, and what those people in here are saying, you've decided not to learn, or you think you know enough. Read yours.
I felt embarrassed, I felt insignificant, and I felt indignant.
Yeah, what were you embarrassed about?
I was embarrassed that people can feel this way about their fellow countrymen, people that we grew up with in society. I was embarrassed. And then that emotion carried on to things that I've said, things that I've felt, things that my friends have said, things that teachers have said in school, politicians, the whole country. The emotion just expanded the more I thought about it.
Did you learn anything?
Damn right I learned a whole bunch.
Was this a good experience for you?
Yes, yes it was.
Which is going to change the way you behave?
Yes, yes it will.
Yeah, who's responsible for that?
You and I.
You are. Because everybody in here heard the same things. But not everybody in here reacted the same way. Some people took it in. Some people internalized it. Some people let it slide off them like water off a duck's back.